welcome to another edition of the Cat's Whiskers TV podcast. My name is Jono Bullard. We've got another busy show for you this week. We'll be going back to Sunday night to discuss Panthers' pretty shocking 6-3 defeat to Belfast. We'll also be joined by Adam Reddish and Patrick Smyth from A View from the Bridge to go over that game. We'll be talking to Craig Simpson a little later, who was media manager for the Great Britain under-20s and their fantastic gold medal winning performance in the World Championships. And we'll also be discussing an Ask CWTV question about the Braehead Clan. And we'll also be discussing the conference system as well. We'll look ahead to the games coming up at the weekend. Panthers at home to Fife and away to the Cardiff Devils. And also look ahead to the Sheffield Steelers double-header straight after Christmas. As after this week, we will be breaking up for the Christmas holidays and we won't have another show until after those games. But first, it's back to Sunday. Post-game in the Bunkers Hill Inn after a 6-3 defeat for the Panthers by the Belfast Giants. I'm with Aaron Lord.
Good evening.
And Adam Reddish.
Hello.
Well, guys, where do you start with that one?
Not good enough.
Not good enough. I just thought that we were flat. I thought that we came out of the blocks tonight really slow. Belfast obviously had their coach's message ringing in their ears after last night's defeat by Hull, and no, they wanted it more than us. I think that was that's as simple as it is. They wanted it more.
For me, I think the thing that was unforgivable was the fact that Belfast did look like they wanted it more, and it was our only game of the weekend. We are battling for a league title. Belfast have fallen away, lost their last three, and for us to come out like that, I think words need to be said.
Not good enough.
You got anything else apart from that?
Do you need to say any more? Do the simple things, win your face-offs, finish your checks. Don't really think we saw any of that tonight. I mean, look, you know what you're going to get with Belfast. They're going to be physical. They're going to finish the checks. I think that's probably the most physical I've seen Belfast in a long time. They finished every check, and they finished every check with passion. I don't even think we finished the check. And when you're not playing great, the simple things is you put effort in, you work hard, and other things will come. But that is simply not good enough.
Adam, for you, what was the main problems tonight?
I think we were trying to overplay. Every time we were wanting to make that killer offensive move, we were just dwelling on the puck too long, making the wrong choices. The passing was disjointed. It looked like a lot of the guys had never met each other before. I think added to that, the fact that Belfast did want it a lot more than us tonight, and as Aaron was saying, they were being far more aggressive in the corners and in the dirty areas of the ice. I think that altogether it was a missed opportunity for us because, as you said, mate, we had one game this weekend. You think that we'd be able to put our heart and soul into it and really give everything and leave it out on the ice, And Belfast obviously played last night. I mean, I thought that Belfast's legs were going to go further on into the game. It went, but if anything, they were trying harder and harder as the game progressed. Whereas we just seemed to be playing one pace all the way through. We never seemed to step up the intensity. So really, really annoyed with that performance because I think we've got so much more we could offer, and it feels like that's definitely 2 points that have gone down the sink.
One of the questions that has been asked, especially on the forum, is that we should be carrying spare imports, and we went into tonight 2 imports down plus Sam Oakford. So, do you agree with that? Do you think we should be carrying spare imports for this sort of occurrence, or is it just one of those things in the world of hockey?
Would you have asked that question if we won tonight?
Probably not.
So then it doesn't really matter, does it?
You're being very direct tonight. It's a change for you.
You're spoiling for a fight.
Well, look, injuries are part of sports, and I'm bored of talking about forums, in all honesty. I really am. But it's not an endless pit. Yes, we are one of the most successful clubs in the Elite League financial-wise, but does that mean that you spend just to cover injuries? I'm not the view of... I have the view that, no, you shouldn't do that. But if it goes on longer, then you have to consider it, but carrying spare imports and stuff like that doesn't really come into question when you have a performance like that, because that performance wasn't because we had a lack of import. It was a lack of desire, a lack of wanting to get the puck, wanting to impact yourself on the game. There was only one team that wanted to win that game tonight. You might have wanted to win it in your head. I'm sorry, but there was only one team that showed that they wanted that game.
Of course, Panthers now got two difficult games coming up. A home game against the Fife Flyers, and then a very difficult away trip to Cardiff Devils next Sunday. They are now become two must-win games.
Oh, absolutely. If we've got any aspirations to win the league, we've got to win both of next weekend's games. And I think that I think we deserve a performance after tonight's show, because next Saturday, Fife are in terrible form at the moment, so they're there for the taking. We've got to actually lay a marker down next Saturday and show that we really want it.
To be fair, though, you could say that Belfast were there for the taking, because they've been in pretty awful form.
Yeah, but I'd say that Belfast have got better quality players than Fife, in fairness. I think probably more's expected from the Belfast Giants than Fife Flyers. I know Fife had a good end of the last season, and they probably exceeded a few people's expectations, but Belfast will always have a good squad year in, year out. They've been going through a bit of a slump lately. I think last night was probably pushed the coach over the edge a little bit, and he really demanded a performance today. And my God, they got it.
Aaron,
I just find it frustrating. I find it, like Adam says, Belfast, they've lost 3 on the bounce. They're going through a rut. You expect them to turn that around sometime, obviously, because they're a top 3 team. But why? I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Okay, one final question before we finish, and I'll come to both of you with this one. Should changes be made?
Yeah, I think we need to sign a sniper. Tonight just epitomised the problems I think that we've had in recent weeks. I know we've scored goals in games, and obviously we scored a lot in Fife in the Challenge Cup in midweek, but I think that was a bit of a one-off. Most games, we never really score more than 3 or 4. I think that we need a sniper to really, put some scores on the scoreboard, put some goals on the scoreboard, because, goals will win you leagues. I don't think you can keep winning tight games all the way through a season and expect to win the league. There are some games where you just need to blow the opposition away, and you need snipers to do that.
I find that such a tough question, I really do. Because who do you gas? Who do you get rid of?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I was thinking about this earlier in the week, and I thought, who do you get rid of? Because for me, despite a very bad performance tonight, no one deserves the chance.
Look, I know this is quick. This is obviously, we do this shortly, but and a quick pace. But go through the team. Higgins, would you class him? He's one of the best players in last year's season. Lawrence has scored many goals. Didn't have the greatest starts, but has scored many goals for us. Has won us games. Graham, what do you need to say? Yes, he hasn't performed, but you know that he can score goals. Benny, would you get rid of him? Well, even though somebody suggested it on the old forum, why would you do it? Why would you get rid of him? Come on, go through the rest.
Any of the defence?
Yeah, but his defence isn't a problem, really.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, is the any of the defence?
I wouldn't gas any defence personally, but
so that goes back then. Do we have extra imports?
No. Why? Tonight's performance isn't about spare imports. It's about what's in between. What's down there, mate. What's in your chest?
As this is now a podcast, Adam was pumping my chest.
My name's
Adam,
Aaron.
You're Aaron. He was pumping my chest there. Aaron keeps forgetting that we're not on TV anymore.
This is how bad tonight's performance was. The highlight of that performance was not even the intro, which I thought was fantastic. Nice new intro video, by the way. But it was Ken's jacket. Yeah. Ken's jacket was quality.
I thought he was the little kid on the teddy bear toss who was trying to move a teddy bear that was bigger than he was.
Well, yeah, but So look, do I think we should make changes? I think that may be a knee-jerk reaction to tonight's performance. Is there going to be changes happening? It wouldn't surprise me.
Adam, you wanted to come back in?
Yeah, you're just running through a lot of the forwards there, saying, well, who do you gas, if indeed you do gas anybody? I think the problem with our forwards is that they're all, a bit much of a muchness. Everybody's performing at a similar level, and I don't know whether that level is, the level that we expect from Panthers players. So I can see why Aaron found it a bit difficult to pick out an individual player, because everybody, it's just like blending into one at the moment. I can't see anybody that's like doing really well or anybody that's playing particularly badly. Everyone's just, much for a muchness, like I said. So it's a really difficult question to answer, but I think that might be part of the problem. Nobody's actually stepping up to like play a bit better than other people, and put their head above the parapet and really be a leader on the side. I mean, people like Lacko had a bad game tonight. Clark wasn't his usual self. When you big guys like that you expect performances from night in, night out don't show, games like that are always going to happen. You're going to lose a game to Belfast. So tough question to answer, but I still think a sniper's needed. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you reconfigure the team, but we need a sniper on the roster.
Still post game in the Bunkers Hill Inn, and I'm with Patrick Smyth from the View from the Bridge podcast. Well, Paddy, you must be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, well, you've got to be. You go into the NIC and you come away with a 6-3 victory. You're going to be pleased. Now, however, I look at the previous 3 hours worth of hockey that I've watched across Cardiff and Hull, and think to myself, where was the game tonight in those games? And you're right, Aaron. But listen, to take a 3-goal victory like that is wonderful. The Giants showed commitment tonight that I haven't seen in Cardiff. I didn't see in Hull. The Giants were finishing the checks, which we didn't see in Cardiff and we didn't see in Hull. And I think the first 4 goals were pretty much garbage goals for the Giants, but it showed commitment in front of goal, trying to stick it in, trying to show that wherewithal to want to break this 3-game losing rut that we've been on. And as we watch Premier Sports, they're trailing the Sheffield Nottingham game. I'm wondering, leading up to that game, because that's a big game for you guys, the Nottingham Panthers have to be disappointed with their performance tonight, because the Giants are in that rut. So why? I bumped into Aaron, who thinks I'm talking as long as Neil the Coach Russell. I bumped into Aaron on the way in, and I honestly believed that the Giants were going to lose this game. I hate saying that about my own team, but having seen them for the previous 3 games, I couldn't see us coming in here and getting a win. That line of Keith, Compon, Lloyd pick up 2 goals, and we've got a bit of impetus behind it, and we went on to take the victory. So, in summary, to answer your questions, yes, I'm delighted.
Because we've just been talking, and I said that for me that was one of Panthers' worst performances of the season. However, that doesn't take anything away from the Giants, who fully deserved to win that game. I said this to Coach last week on the podcast, but what's been happening? Because you don't expect a Belfast Giants team to be losing games on the trot, like 3 games on the bounce you've lost, and you've got pretty much the same team as you had last season. So what is it?
We've been pretty spoiled as Belfast Giants fans. We've had a lot of good times, league victories, close to league victories, good runs in cups. We've been spoiled with the fact that you look at the way how dominant the team were last season, and we expected seeing that same team coming into the league to be exactly the same. Okay, we've changed the coach. Okay, we've changed 3 other players, but surely this team should be able to have the ability to come in and push as they did. But you also take into account we have had a change in coach, we have a change higher up, and the rest of the league's got better. I think a lot of people forget that. The change in import levels have allowed dual nats, but of course all those dual nats have more or less been imports, and a lot of the other teams have improved a great deal. Going into Hull last night, I hate this, no disrespect to Hull, and I disrespect them, but no disrespect. A lot of Giants fans think going into Hull is a straightforward go in, pick up 2 points and leave. It's not. Hull have become better. You've seen it here at the NIC. They came here and rolled us over 6-1. Hull are a tough team. Same in Cardiff. Cardiff have actually gone on a really good run, a lot of confidence behind them, and if you're not going to play a physical game there with their team, you're going to lose, and that's what happened to the Belfast Giants. The league's a lot tighter this year, and the Giants aren't going to run away with it like that maybe a lot of people thought they were. It's going to be very interesting moving forward as to how that game affects us, and then we've got a double coming up against the Coventry Blaze, coming back home after 4 games on the road where we've lost 3 of them. Can the Giants start to get that momentum? Because if we're going to challenge for this league, we have to go on a really good run. Can we do that? We'll see come the new year.
You mentioned how tight the league is this season, and we can see there's potentially 5 teams who can win the league. Do you agree with that, or how do you see it? Get your crystal ball out. How do you see it going on in the months to come?
It's 5. I know. I saw you could throw a blanket over 5 teams and think any one of these 5 teams could win the league. I don't actually buy into that. I think that Cardiff, they're on a great run, but I don't see them having the ability when the business end comes of pushing for that title. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before many times. I honestly think it's between Sheffield, Nottingham, Braehead, and then us. I think we're on the edge of dropping out of that competition. I honestly do. I think we need to. We've got 2 games against Coventry. We've got 2 big games against Braehead, who, don't get me wrong, they are there. And I think that if you were to ask me now, the 2 teams that would be there or thereabouts at the end of the season to battle it out, I'd say it'd be Braehead and Sheffield, because I think both teams have the ability to do it. I think the game here, live on Premier Sports, is going to be a big one for both Nottingham and Sheffield. If Nottingham don't get anything from that game, I think the same as us. You're basically battling around the fringes, hoping that you're going to get back into it. It is going to be a far more interesting season for many teams than it was last year. Giants on the verges, but if you can beat Sheffield, anybody who finishes above Sheffield will win the league. I don't think it's going to be as clear cut as a lot of Sheffield fans do, but I think that Sheffield are the team to beat still.
It's never as clear cut as what Sheffield fans think. Believe me, mate, I'm married to one. I know how they think. Mate, thanks very much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
No problem, mate. It's brilliant to have you guys in the podcast union. Welcome. Really enjoyed listening to this show, except when Neil Coach Russell's on it. No, I jest, of course, but really great show. Keep up the good work.
Cheers, mate. The thoughts from Sunday night. Thanks very much to Adam and Patrick for joining us there. Aaron joins me once again. Good evening.
Good evening, Jono.
So, a couple of days on since probably one of the worst performances of the season, frankly. Any further reflections after what we've just heard?
No, not much is really going to change. Obviously, the only things I would say is it was just very disappointing to, as Corey has said in his post-match interview, the lack of intensity that we played with, and we just didn't look like we were up for the battle. And now you can have off nights, skillful wise and scoring wise and stuff like that, but effort should always be there. And I said it on the night, and I still say it now. I just don't think we put the effort in that was required for that game, and that's disappointing. But it's good to hear Corey say those words, and it's kind of like what Stevie Lee has said today. Christmas is coming, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, but it's now time to step it up and players to be counted. So
I'm still annoyed that the fact that the Giants were there for the taking after being in really poor form, and we didn't take that opportunity, and now we put an immense amount of pressure on ourselves in order to try and stay with the chasing pack. It's only 4 points and 5 points in Sheffield's case, but they're starting to pull away, and it gets harder and harder to catch up with them. And I think a massive opportunity has been missed, and it puts immense pressure on us for this coming weekend.
It does. You're not wrong, but you have to kind of give a little bit of credit to Belfast.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they were by far the better team, and fully deserved their victory.
Yeah, and the effort they put in, it's a bit like Corey said at times. It was desperate. It was desperation at times. But you talk about us being 5 points behind Sheffield with a game in hand on them. Belfast are a further 3 points behind, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people still say that they're in with a challenge. So as disappointing as you cannot kind of take many positives from Sunday's performance at all, there's still a lot of points to play for.
Okay, so moving on to the rest of the league, another good weekend for Sheffield, a victory against Cardiff on Friday night, followed up by an away victory against the Coventry Blaze, who had another poor weekend, losing to Edinburgh on Saturday. But the Caps, they're still hanging in there. First defeat for a while on Sunday night, but they still managed to grab a point.
Now, they'll take a point, won't they, in those situations to keep the point scoring going, shall we say. Yes, it's a defeat, but for a team like Edinburgh, a point can be a big thing come the end of the season. So I'd like to think that they'll still have the confidence, they'll still be on quite a high. And look, when you talk about it, they're sick. It's a very good position for Edinburgh to be in, a place that they're not used to being in seasons gone past. So I think for them, it's all about trying to keep the momentum going from the previous weeks, and not kind of let that defeat spiral into more defeats along the way.
Braehead as well. Quite an interesting weekend for Braehead. An 8-2 victory against Fife on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, faced Cardiff Devils. We've watched the highlights of that.
Yep.
Tasty is the...
Tasty, feisty.
Yeah, if you
could use a few words.
If you haven't had a chance to watch the highlights, get on the Cardiff Devils website and watch them, because you will see proper old-time hockey. Filth. It's filth. But
and
it's
what did you
great
say to me?
It's great at the same time.
You said you loved it.
I absolutely loved watching it. But there, another comeback there, like in Edinburgh, where Cardiff cruising at 4-0 up.
Yeah.
But Braehead, they got some real mettle and came back to bring it to 5-5 before Cardiff took the game in overtime. So, Devils, another valuable 2 points for them, but Braehead still picking up the points.
I mean, one thing that I don't think you can accuse Braehead of being this season is not feisty, not steel or heart, what you said. They've got plenty of that this season. Maybe too much on occasions, which you saw on Sunday night. Braehead are strong. They are strong. To come back, after players being chucked out and given kind of penalties, which they got, fully justified in pretty much all of them, I would say.
Yeah.
And watching the highlights, they've got plenty of grit. And that comes from Finner.
Yeah.
But
that is a team that is completely built in the coach's image. He will want, knowing Finner, he wants a team that is 100% committed, and that team is 100% committed. Probably too committed, as you've already mentioned, but they are really going for it, and they're a threat.
Do you know what? Nobody's going to enjoy playing against them. If you watch them on a regular basis, and the standings will tell you, they are tough. They are tough to beat. They're tough to play against.
Well, you're either going to lose, or you're going to get beaten up, or possibly even both.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They've not just got. I know I don't want to hark on about it, but there's plenty of people out there that will tell you the Panthers are lacking a tough guy, but Braehead have got not just one tough guy, they've got plenty of people there that are willing to throw a bit of muscle around. And I just think it's obvious that Finn has been given the opportunity to, like you say, build a team within his mould. A team that he fully, how he fully wants to play, and the ethos that he wants to play with. And you know what you get with Finner. He's not going to stand for anything less than 110%. And they're right up there.
While we're on the subject of Braehead, Ask CWTV, we have one question this week, all on its own, but a cracking question it is, from Charles Sampson, who, looking at his picture on Twitter, I assume is a Braehead fan. He says, in most podcasts, all the talk, quite rightly, is of Sheffield, Nottingham and Belfast. Are the Clan being dismissed or underrated as challengers this season?
It's a good question. The thing is, it's always been one of the top three, hasn't it? It's always been one of Sheffield, Belfast or Nottingham that come the start of the season, you think after the long season that it is, will be there. In times it's been, you think people will play a part in it, but they'll never be able to last the distance. And I think that's kind of built in people's minds and stuff. I probably think, but Braehead, I don't know this, but I would say Braehead don't mind that. They're going under the radar. They're doing their job. They're picking up points. They're being very dominant in some games. And people talk about Sheffield being the Elite League champions this year. I'd stick a tenner on Braehead. Gamble responsibly, folks. But you look at the conference system and you look at the games that they've got to play against the other conference, they've got a real opportunity with the work that they've put in so far this season. Come the end of the season or come post-Christmas, post-New Year, I think you'll find a lot more people are starting to say the word Braehead. And to be fair to Simsy and Chris Ellis on this week's Elite League podcast, Simsy even says Braehead. They're a threat. Don't forget about them. But I'm pretty sure Finner and the team will be just quietly going about their business, happy to be under the radar, and like I say, they're a real threat.
And I think, well, Paddy said on Sunday night that we just played a while ago that he sees Braehead and Sheffield as the main threats now to the league title. Braehead are a good side, as we've already said. The thing for me, and I'm sorry, Finner, if you're listening, but I think sometimes their discipline does get the better of them. And I think if one thing was probably going to stop them running away with it, it is that they sometimes are a bit over-enthusiastic, shall we say, disciplinary-wise. And I think if they start getting more bans, it's going to affect them as we go for the running. But having said that, it is part of them. It is part of what makes them tick, and it's been very successful for them so far. And I definitely see them as a very viable threat to the Elite League title this season.
I'd have to agree with you on the discipline front, and I'd say that's Finner's job to manage that and coach his teams and his players to the point of where they don't lose that physical edge, because you don't want to take that away from a player, because most people will say that you lose 50% of that player, but it's about using it at the right time, not losing your head and just taking stupid penalties and getting bans, because Braehead don't have the biggest squad, so they can't necessarily afford for suspensions to play a part. But if it does, then they will struggle. But like I say, that's down to Finner, and it's another argument for people, and maybe the Panthers, why tough guys aren't around that much as they were, because if they take daft penalties, then it affects the team. So it really is a job for Finner to, like I say, to manage that and coach his players so they use it effectively and at the right time.
Something else that comes from Braehead being where they are, and it's that age-old discussion over the conferences again. We spoke about it in an earlier podcast where Corey Nielsen said that they have an advantage because they're in the supposedly easier conference. Been reading Steel Talk this week, unfortunately, but I had a spare 5 minutes, and there's a discussion on there about conferences which I'm pretty sure wouldn't have come about had Braehead not been so high up in the league.
Cynical.
My view is I like the conferences. I think they work. I think they make the league a lot closer and far more competitive, and I don't see any reason to change them from the current format that they're in. Obviously, if we have any new teams join the league or any teams drop out, then yes, you may have to look at a reshuffle. But at the moment, as it is, I personally don't see a problem with how the conferences are set up. And the same thread on Steel Talk, Jonathan Fernley, who commentates for both Hull and Sheffield, put up a myriad of stats about how things used to be before the conferences came about and how they are now. And basically, I think there was something like the bottom 4 teams for 3 seasons before the conference won a total of something like 7 games against the top 3 clubs. And now that's completely different since the conference system came in. It's just made the league far more competitive. Do you feel that it is more competitive? How do you feel about conferences?
My initial thing is that, it's made the league far more competitive. You only have to look at the standings to see that challenges all through the league when you look at the placings. So in the wider spectrum of it, then it's made the league competitive, so it has worked. The fact that you read it on Steel Talk, Corey Nielsen has spoke regarding it, I think it's kind of very easy from a Sheffield point of view to say when you're sat at the top, well, Bray had a second and they're really close with us, but that's only because they get to play Dundee, who are bottom at the moment and aren't very well more than we do, and we have to face the Nottinghams and the Cardiffs and the Belfasts and the Coventrys. I think it's very easy to say that, but you would say that because you're looking at it from the aspect of your team. But from a league point of view, then I think it's far better that it's brought competition. You have to think of it from the league's point of view as well regarding financially. It's obviously brought attendances back to Scotland. When you talk about the Fifes and the Braehead rivalry that's starting to come about now, even the Dundee games and the Edinburgh games, more people are going to these games. So from the league's point of view, it's been far more positive. And I do think that the teams in that conference have improved, and they're trying to improve year on year. So for Braehead to go and face Fife or to face a Dundee or an Edinburgh or a Hull, they're not easy games. We look at it from the outside point of view that it's very easy, and it's far easier to face a Hull at Edinburgh than it is to face a Belfast or a Sheffield. But as this season has proved, it's not. So that can only be a positive. And for me, I think they work, and I think if you could bring two teams into the league and they worked correctly and obviously depending on where they were, then I'd keep conference systems. I really do think they work, and I think if the Elite League can build, then you might be able to bring more competition into those conferences. So the only way I would scrap it is like what you said earlier, if a team drops out. But I can't really see that happening at the moment. It's from what I see, it all looks pretty solid. I'm sure it's not fantastic in some clubs, but I think pretty solid at the moment. And I think losing the conference systems would be taking a step back, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not perfect. I agree with that, but it's better than what we had, and I don't see anything better than what we've got. So my opinion is keep it as it is.
Yeah, there'll be people out there that would like it to go back to the old system, because then they would go up to Edinburgh, or the Edinburgh would come to the NIC, and we would win 10-1 and it'd be easy, and you knew it would be a guaranteed 2 points. Some people will prefer that because that's 2 points. It's closer to winning a trophy at the end of the season. But then there's other people that would like the competition, go to the NIC or go to Edinburgh and not know that you are guaranteed to win that game. And is it better from the player's point of view? Would they rather go into a game that they know that they only have to kind of turn up 75% and they'd probably win, or do they have to go into every game now knowing that it's going to be a battle?
I'm sure we will find out at the end of the season what's going to happen, and I genuinely hope that if Braehead do take the title, that doesn't play a part in anything changing.
There will be people out there that will go straight on the forums, on the social media, and say that is the only reason that Braehead have won the league. I think that was highly disrespectful. I agree with you. Let's hope that doesn't kind of push the panic button and like I say, take a step back.
As many will know, the Great Britain under-20 team went to the World Championships in Estonia last week and came away with the gold medal. A great performance from the Great Britain team, winning every game, only going to overtime in one, and only dropping a point throughout the whole tournament. I'm delighted to welcome Craig Simpson, who was the GB media manager for the tournament, and he joins us to talk about it. How are you, Craig?
Hi, Jono. Hi, gents. All right?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Not a problem. Anytime.
Okay. First of all, we want to ask, how was the week for you? I mean, it was a fantastic week results-wise. From all the reports I saw, the team seemed very much together. Must have been just a very, very good week to be a part of.
It was a fantastic experience to be part of. I've been to World Championships before where I've been at the tournament, but this was the first time when I've been actually working with a specific team. So we travelled as a group. There was the 22 players plus there was the staff. So I think it was about 30 people. So we travelled as a team. We started off at Helsinki. We had a 3-day camp in Helsinki. Then travelled to Tallinn for the tournament. But you did everything together. You had breakfast together. You travelled to practice together. Came back for lunch together. Went to the game together. Basically, it was a 30 people team in every true sense of the word. And it was a fantastic experience, and the results thoroughly deserved that. The guys worked really hard. I know they went in as top seeds, but that was kind of based on last year's team, where there was a lot of new players this year. So they lived up to expectations, and they were fantastic to watch. It really was.
Craig, do you think, just saying obviously there, the fact that you all travel together, including the staff, do you think that does that really make it a close-knit group, like everybody's together, everybody knows what's expected, and does that kind of boost the team morale, and you feel part of it, even though you're off the ice, but you actually do feel part of the whole tournament?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely one of the team. As I say, we had one of the big things they did this year was the pre-camp that went to Helsinki, which was specifically for team building and team bonding, because previously GB teams will just kind of turn up on the eve of the tournament and then straight into the first game, whereas this time they had 3 days ice in Helsinki. They had team building at the hotel, they did specific team building, team bonding exercises, and it basically did bring the whole group together, so that when we arrived in Tallinn, you kind of were already this unit, and doing everything together during the week. It kind of built on that, and it was, I mean, Peter Russell and a couple of the guys mentioned it through the week, how it was a whole team. Yes, you had, I mean, talk about the lads who were kind of the stars, you could say, but it was a real team experience and a team performance on and off the ice.
You mentioned Peter Russell there, the coach. Now, he obviously had to come back, I believe, in the middle of the week because his daughter was having an operation. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. Sylvie, she was actually born just after this tournament last year, when the tournament was in Dumfries. So she's not even a year old, and she's waiting to go in for an operation. And then, such as the way things work, just as Peter was getting ready to come away, him and his wife Katie got the date, and it was the Tuesday while he was in Estonia. And as kind of luck would have it, that was a rest day. There was no games. There was practice, but there was no games. So Peter arranged to fly out of Estonia at stupid o'clock Tuesday morning. We went home, went to the hospital, saw Sylvie as she came out of the theatre, stayed with her Tuesday night, and then flew back to Estonia stupid o'clock Wednesday morning, and arrived back at the rink just in time to take GB into the game against Romania on the Wednesday. So a huge commitment for him. And I mean, Sylvie was part of became part of the team. There was a nice moment we did on the rest day after training and after the post game meal and the warm downs and what have you. We had a team photo outside the rink, and it was like a little get well soon message to Sylvie, just to know Pete and Katie that we were still thinking of them while he was at home. So again, that shows the kind of the team spirit that was there.
Yeah, very nice.
And it's incredible commitment from the coach, really, because family will always come first, but to do that and then come back and complete the week coaching the team, I think shows incredible commitment from him.
He was, yeah. I mean, as I say, when we arrived up to the camp, he was huge. He totally focused on GB, and then once kind of Monday night's game was done, it was right. I've got to go and do this. This is personal time. So he kind of switched off. I don't think he really ever switches off, Peter Russell. Having spent a week with him, I don't think he ever switches off. But he kind of switched off from the hockey, and it became like he was back in dad mode. And then when he came back on the Wednesday, he was still kind of getting pictures and texts from Katie at home, and just as the week went on, kind of the team were interested in how Sylvie was doing it, and she kind of came through the operation, and she was out of intensive care within a day, and she was back home within another day, and it was kind of a visible thing lifting the team, you know. When Peter said, I've had a text and Sylvie's out of hospital, and it kind of lifted the team, so it was fantastic.
Fantastic. I mean, as you say there, but talking about the team, obviously the result speaks for themselves, and just you couldn't have really gone any better. But from what you saw out there, do you think these players have the potential to go on and replicate this type of form in years to come for GB? Could these players replace the Robert Dowds, the David Clarks, the Ashley Tates, the Jonathan Phillips? Is there real potential with these guys now?
Definitely, there's some real talent at the top end of it's the under 20. So you're looking at the 18 and 19 year olds who are at the top end of the scale. The guys who took the line like kind of this week was the top line. It was Bobby Chamberlain, who was playing EPL with Manchester, and there was Lewis Hook and Jordan Cowney, who play with Milton Keynes Lightning in the EPL, but they've also had time with Panthers in the Champions League, and they've done some midweek games as well. And that line was just fantastic to watch. It helps, obviously, Jordan and Lewis play together with Milton Keynes, so they kind of know each other's game. But Jordan Cowney he won tournament best forward award at the end of the tournament, but we're trying to get a hold of the footage so we can see if we can do any highlights on it, because the a couple of the goals he scored. There was one against the Netherlands. He kind of skated right through from his own blue line and then kind of waited and sat the goalie down, a bit like that. The Datsuk breakaway, when he's kind of past the net before he fires it in.
Yes, yep.
It was kind of like that. And he kind of said, did he just do that? And then the penalty shootout against Korea, he scored in the normal round, and then we went to sudden death, and he did the Forsberg.
Quality.
And this was a World Championship sudden death penalty shootout to win the gold medal, and he just kind of skates up, pulls the goalie out of position, does the Forsberg, drops it in the far side. GB go mad, win the gold medal. And you think, has he got the balls to do that? The gold medal game.
Well, yes, he has.
He certainly has. But that line and the forward line was surely showing some good potential. At the back end, Adam Goss, who played in, I think, ENL with Coventry. He's away in Mercyhurst College in America at the moment. He was absolutely stellar when called upon in net. And the likes of Scott Robson at the back. He's playing EPL with Peterborough. Cool, calm, and a lot of talent there, certainly.
We've discussed there's a lot of talent within this side. Several that are known to Elite League teams. With obviously from the Panthers' point of view, we've got Ollie Betteridge, Jordan Cowney, and Lewis Hook. Bobby Chamberlain's no stranger to the Elite League after his time with Hull, but we know that after this sort of age, some of them start drifting away from the game because they can't get clubs or they can't get a foothold within the game. What do you think needs to happen now to keep this talent within the game?
Ooh. No, how long you got? I think it's good that the guys are playing regular EPL minutes, and certainly the likes of the two-way deals that you've got with the guys in Nottingham. Callum Bugleson defence, he's with Swindon APL, but he's also a two-way with Cardiff in the Elite League. So that kind of relationship, I think, needs to develop where they can kind of learn their trade at the National League and then the EPL, and then get on a two-way with the Elite League, and then once you've kind of found your footing, move up to a kind of full-time Elite League contract. It's starting to happen slowly. Is it happening quickly enough? Probably not, but the fact that it is slowly happening is a good thing. So the likes of Nottingham, Nottingham, obviously the guy from the Nottingham Post, he was reporting on it regularly. Yeah. And yes, he was reporting them as Nottingham players, which was kind of, you can kind of give them that one, I suppose. But it's good that they're supporting them. So things like that, more two-way deals. It's not fair that they're probably not ready to jump straight into the Elite League, so let them work their way through the EPL, get on the two-way deals with the Elite League, and then once they're settled, then move into a kind of work their way up the Elite League structure.
Okay. Yeah, it's progression, isn't it, really?
Yeah. If you get it, it's the structure. If you get the structure in place, get the progression, get the pathway. It's what we don't have at the minute is a clear pathway. It's kind of the clubs have got to do it themselves. So if you start getting those pathways in place, where you play juniors, NIHL, EPL, Elite League, then if the players can see the pathways there, then that's the way to go.
To be fair, we've just had the best start, haven't we? Really, so it's a great foundation to build upon, and there is no better way to build it than the performance that we gave. So let's hope, building blocks are built from this.
Yeah, come back with a gold medal that they can go around their clubs and show the kids around their club. You work hard. This is what you can get. The likes of Jordan and Lewis and Ollie Betteridge can say, look, I've played Champions League hockey in front of 8,000 people, and I've done this, and this is just what hockey can do for you. So they can be the ambassadors for the next generation.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's hope they are. Craig, really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about the tournament. Thanks very much.
Not a problem. Cheers, gents.
Many thanks to Craig there for joining us. We're going to take a look ahead to the weekend and the weekend beyond, as we'll be having a short Christmas break next week. So, firstly, Saturday night at the NIC, the Fife Flyers are in town. They, of course, got an overtime victory the last time that they appeared at the NIC earlier in the season. So that isn't going to be an easy game. It never is against them.
No, it's not. and it's not an easy game coming off the performance that we've previously talked about. There's a bit of pressure building now on the Panthers regarding performance and points, and it's a busy period, is the Christmas period. As you said earlier on, currently we're 5 points behind the leaders with a game in hand. This is an important period, and is it a good thing that we're playing at home straight away? I don't know, to a certain degree. I've mentioned in previous podcasts or when we did the YouTube show that sometimes it's easier to play away after you've had a difficult result, because there's kind of not that much pressure on you. One thing I would say is I think the fans have got a massive part to play on Saturday. Yes, as we've said ourselves, Sunday wasn't good enough, but Sunday's been and gone now. Got to look forward. We've got to look to helping this team, because it's and this brings the whole conversation of how's it work, but the crowd has got to play a bit of a part now, because the players are going to be feeling it, and I'm pretty sure they'll be feeling a bit nervous. They'll know that they've got to put on a performance, because if they don't, the fans are going to be disappointed again. So I think we've got an important part to play on Saturday, and it's time now for the players to stand up and be counted. Yeah. And they've got to put in a performance.
I suppose the good thing is that the last time we played Fife was last week in the Challenge Cup, and it was a great 7-2 victory. And Fife haven't been having the best of times, but then again, neither had Belfast before we played them. They obviously got the overtime victory in Edinburgh, which will have given them a boost. But it is very, very important that Panthers come out the blocks on Saturday night and do everything they can to win the game. Of course, moving on to Sunday, different story altogether. The Big Blue Tent and the Cardiff Devils, and of course we did win there the last game that we played down in Cardiff, but they've been on a great run of form that's seen them go straight up to 4th place. Now they're only a point behind the Panthers, having played a game more, but that is not an easy trip.
It's really not. But like you said, we did win there last time we were there, so we have to take that confidence in there and the knowledge that they can be beaten at home. I think the good thing about our previous performance there was that we matched them physically. We weren't afraid to throw the body on occasions and stand up to their physicality. It's one that maybe depends on the Saturday. If Saturday doesn't go great again, then you're starting to go into a bit of a dip and confidence-wise, and it wouldn't be the best place to go. But get back to winning ways on the Saturday. It gives you the confidence going in Sunday. And I think, penalty, the specialty teams are going to play a big part in that, because the problem is if we start taking penalties in Cardiff, then they can punish you. So it's a big weekend coming back from the Belfast and going into the double header against the Steelers. It's not going to be easy, but we need to pick up some points this weekend.
So looking beyond that, after that, of course, it's the biggest rivalry in the known universe. Boxing Day in Sheffield with a 4 p.m. face-off. Tickets selling out very fast for that one, I believe. And then, of course, the following night, Saturday night, live on Premier Sports, a complete sellout at the NIC, has been for weeks, the return match. It's always said that they're big games.
Yeah.
These genuinely are huge games.
Yeah, you can't say that you're just building it up just for the media or anything. These are two big games in the position that both teams are. Both teams are challenging for the title. The Steelers are obviously riding high currently. Panthers have taken a few knocks. The crowd on the 27th should just be amazing, really. It's on Premier Sports. It's big. The Boxing Day is going to be big. Obviously, we lost there, a few weeks ago, so we'll be seeking revenge. Hopefully, last season we got beat both days, so that's not nice. The easiest thing would be to say that it'll be a split series, but I wouldn't write us off. No. I know there'll be a lot of people that will and think we're crazy, but I think there's a lot of things there that will hopefully get the players up for it. And I think we'll pick up points from there. I can actually see us picking 3 points up from that.
I mean, I'd like 4, and I think I think we're capable of getting 4 from Sheffield. I mean, we destroyed them 7-2 the last time that they were at the NIC, and I know some people will say, yeah, but we had Nathan Robinson back then. But even so, 7-2 against a team that a lot have got pegged on as league champions. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be very tough trying to get a result in Sheffield, but we showed last time he was down there, although we didn't play great and it was a 3-2 defeat, we had chances to win that game.
Yeah,
at the end. I mean, and that result could have been very, very different, but, the puck being a couple of inches lower and not hitting the crossbar, and it could have easily been a win, despite a poor performance.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think David Clark has said it, that these are always tight games. They're very, apart from that, obviously you'd say the Panthers 7-2 victory. They're nip and tuck, and a bubble here, a lick of paint here, it can make the difference. I mean, for me, it's not as simple as this, but a big part to beating Sheffield is if you stop their first line. Their first line contributes, and you only have to go by the stats, contribute so much to that team. And yes, you cannot deny that they are fantastic. It is probably one of the best top lines we've seen in the Elite League for a long while. But me personally, if you stop that top line, or they're not on form, then you've got a big chance of beating Sheffield and getting a result against them. We saw that when we beat them 7-2, their top line just didn't really click and didn't work, and we shut them down very well. So that's key. Specialty teams, as always, is going to be key, but I just see us rising up to that challenge. People might say you're stupid, Aaron, or whatever, but you've got your black and gold rose tinted glasses on or whatever.
Yeah, we've been accused of that a few times recently, haven't we?
But it's just, I just have that belief, and if the players don't go out and do that, then I was wrong, and they'll deserve what they say. But I just think, with it selling out as well on the 27th, especially so quickly, and the crowd really should be up for that game. I think the players will feel that. I think that they'll be hurting from the last time we lost against Sheffield. And the thing is, obviously, it depends at the time where we are points wise, but team takes 3 points. It's a big swing. It's a big psychological swing, which I think Simsy said on the Elite League with Chris Ellis this week. It's possibly more psychological damage if you can inflict that on the opposing team. So it's a big series. I'm looking forward to both games, going to both of them. They're important games, and it could not define our season, but it'll be a big sector of it.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Right, well, that is us for before Christmas. So once again, thank you very much to everyone for listening. We'd both like to wish you a very happy and healthy Christmas. We will be back probably around the 28th, 29th of December. We'll be looking back on this weekend's and the Sheffield games, and looking ahead to the New Year's Eve game against Coventry. So thank you very much, Aaron.
Pleasure. Have a good Christmas, everybody, and you, Jono.
Yeah,
hope Santa comes.
I'm sure he will. The last Christmas I'll have before the patter of tiny feet. So
very true. Yeah. Very true.
So thanks very much, and I will speak to you soon. And once again, thanks very much for listening. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you soon.